Tonight, the young victims of that church shooting in the middle of a school mass. The new video of a parent as he rushed over after hearing gunshots. Frightened kids frantically rushing out of the church to escape. We talked to the father and his daughter who were inside. Police revealing they recovered 116 rifle rounds at that scene. And tonight, the victims and the father in mourning, calling the shooter who took away his son a coward. Plus, what we're learning about the 23-year-old gunman and former student. Investigators poring over journals coded in another language filled with anti-Semitic and racist rhetoric. This is breaking tonight. Chaos inside the CDC. Staffers in Atlanta cheering for the top CDC officials who resigned in what's being called the Wednesday night massacre, the feud between the Trump administration and CDC Director Susan Menares, as we learn who the White House is now tapping to be the next director. Alligator Alcatraz clearing out our new reporting about why the notorious Florida migrant detention center will be emptied in the days to come. Murder mystery twist, a mother killed, her husband a suspect, but tonight new video of the interview their au pair gave to prosecutors, detailing how she conspired with the husband because they were lovers. The deadly F-16 crash caught on camera. What went wrong for the elite pilot before an air show? Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
4, 3.
And good evening. Tonight, the shock lingers and the sadness remains. The nation once again tries to make sense of these images. Innocent children being shepherded to safety after a mass shooter shot and killed their classmates. At the school where classes had just started today, memorials sprang up and windows were boarded. Now we're learning more about how the church's policy to lock its doors probably saved lives. And our reporters tonight deciphering coded writings revealing a disturbed person who expressed hatred towards almost every group imaginable. Maggie Vespa starts off our coverage tonight. And Maggie, I cannot imagine what those parents have been going through over the last 24 hours.
Tom, it's been incredibly excruciating. And just breaking here in the last few minutes, we just got confirmation of the 10-year-old girl who was killed here yesterday, Harper Moisky, described by her family as bright, joyful, and deeply loved. And also late today, the father of the 8-year-old boy who died here speaking out.
Yesterday, a coward decided to take our 8-year-old son Fletcher away from us.
Tonight, a father's grief on full display, confirming his son Fletcher Merkel was one of the 2 children killed in yesterday's mass shooting in Minneapolis.
We will never be allowed to hold him, talk to him, play with him. We love you, Fletcher. You'll always be with us.
We're also learning the name of the second victim, the family of 10-year-old Harper Moisky, confirming their daughter was killed, saying their hearts are broken and calling it an unimaginable loss. This as cell phone video shows the horror inside Annunciation Catholic Church.
We were about to start the prayer and then we heard these big loud noises.
9-year-old June Helene was in that church, diving for cover, then running after they had just finished singing.
Well, all the buddies were trying to help their younger buddies.
And buddies are like older kids.
Yeah. I saw my teacher get on the floor. She kind of like motioned me to get on the floor. So I just jumped down. And then my buddy kind of grabbed my hand and then we kind of just ran out with my teacher.
Where are they? Where's the shooter? Where's the shooter?
She just missed her frantic dad, who heard the shots from their nearby home and raced to the church to look for June and her younger sister.
I ran in to find you and Olive, and I was just like frantically searching for you two. Couldn't find you. I think I was yelling, "Where's the shooter?" and just trying to find my girls.
Just searching for your daughters.
Yeah.
The family reuniting a few minutes later. An update on the injured, now 18 total, including 15 children. A trauma surgeon recounting how a nurse comforted one scared little girl.
She went into the CT scanner with the patient, putting herself basically in the harm's way of radiation. Held her hand and held her hair while she went through the scanner so she didn't have to go through it alone.
Investigators say the 23-year-old shooter was a former student and one-time parishioner at Annunciation who died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police studying church surveillance video saying the shooter was unable to enter.
Yes, the doors were locked intentionally by the church from the inside, and that's a practice that they had in place once Mass had begun.
At the church, boarded up stained glass windows shattered by the shooter and unimaginable pain on display. Maggie Vespa, NBC News, Minneapolis.
And tonight we are learning more about the shooter in this case from extensive journal writings that delve into everything from a sickening desire to see children suffer to alarming calls for help. Shaquille Brewster has that part of the story.
Tonight, law enforcement searching for a motive to a heinous mass shooting and finding evidence of hate toward nearly all people from a 23-year-old killer and a twisted desire for self-notoriety.
More than anything, the shooter wanted to kill children, defenseless children. In short, the shooter wanted to watch children suffer.
Police pouring through excerpts from the Minneapolis shooter's journal, some posted online, written largely using Russian Cyrillic alphabet as a way to code the entries.
How critical are those writings to your investigation?
Well, as of this time, we don't have a motive, so they are absolutely critical trying to identify why this happened at this church.
The journals, reviewed and deciphered by NBC News, show an obsession with mass shootings, glorifying school shootings in particular. The shooter writing of being suicidal since childhood and repeatedly used anti-Semitic and racist rhetoric. Back in July, journal entries show the shooter identified Annunciation Catholic School as a target and mentioned doing reconnaissance trips past the school where authorities confirmed the shooter had once attended. Entries in the shooter's journal made multiple references to having a supportive family. NBC News' review of the writings showing her saying, "I am begging for help. I am screaming for help."
Are the shooter's parents and associates cooperating in your investigation?
Everyone that I am aware of has cooperated with the interviews that have been requested.
A former Annunciation employee telling NBC News the shooter was often sent to the principal's office for disciplinary discussions, adding that the shooter's mother, who had worked at Annunciation, talked about her child coming out as transgender and identifying as a girl. But tonight, law enforcement unable to declare a motive for a killer whose writings reveal a person filled with hatred.
Shaq, in all these cases, we always talk about the red flags, but tonight it's unclear if police knew about any of the things that were happening with this young person.
That's right, Tom. Officials saying that there's no record of any encounters with police that would have prevented this shooter from purchasing a firearm. The chief telling me this afternoon they're still going through evidence. They have done dozens of interviews, but they have not yet made contact with the shooter's mother. Tom?
Shaquille Brewster, part of our team covering this terrible story there in Minneapolis. Shaq, thank you. Now to the dramatic scene outside of CDC headquarters today. Staff applauding top leaders who resigned in protest after President Trump fired the agency's director. And we've just learned who the White House picked to lead the CDC now. Here's Ann Thompson.
The tumult at the CDC visible outside its Atlanta headquarters today, following what some dubbed the Wednesday night massacre. Director Susan Menars fired after less than a month on the job. 4 other top leaders resigned in protest. 3 of them cheered by current and former CDC staff. Former Chief Medical Officer Dr. Deb Howry, infectious disease leader Dr. Dan Jernigan, and vaccine chief Dr. Dmitry Daskalakis, telling us they're worried about the combustible mix of ideology and health.
Is America's public health in danger? America's public health is significantly in danger. And Dmitry, Dan, and I chose to leave together to send that bat signal.
They cited misinformation about vaccines they say played a role in the largest number of measles cases in 30 years. Changes to COVID vaccine recommendations pushed Dr. Daskalakis over the edge.
I learned about the change to the COVID vaccine schedule on Twitter.
The White House defending firing the CDC director, saying it's the president's prerogative.
She was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again.
While in Texas, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. arguing the agency made missteps during the pandemic.
There's a lot of trouble at CDC, and it's going to require getting rid of some people over the long term in order for us to change the institutional culture.
It is a culture, the former leaders say, created a gold standard of science. A culture they fear is changing and not, they say, because of science.
There have been a number of findings that we use to help make policy decisions for vaccines and for treatments, and that all of those past findings were being called into question.
And tonight, an administration official says the White House will tap one of Kennedy's top deputies, Jim O'Neill, as acting CDC director. Tom?
Ann Thompson for us tonight, and we thank you. Now to the abrupt closure of Alligator Alcatraz, the controversial federal facility in Florida to detain and deport migrants. Gabe Gutierrez is at the White House tonight. Gabe, walk our viewers through this. We've learned many detainees have already left.
Yes, Tom, the Department of Homeland Security says it's moving them to other facilities around the country. Now, according to emails obtained by NBC6 in Miami, the Florida Division of Emergency Management says Alligator Alcatraz is expected to be empty in days. That's despite the White House appealing a federal judge's order to close it down over environmental concerns. The makeshift facility was built in just days this summer, attracting a visit from President Trump. Meanwhile, the administration is asking a military base near Chicago for support on immigration operations. Other states are also offering detention space, the so-called Speedway Slammer in Indiana and what's been nicknamed the Cornhusker Clink in Nebraska. Tom?
All right, Gabe, we thank you for that. Tonight, there is new information on that deadly Israeli attack on Nasser Hospital in Gaza earlier this week that killed 5 journalists, including a Reuters news agency cameraman. Molly Hunter has the latest, and a warning tonight. The images you're about to see are disturbing.
Tonight, Reuters news agency says the IDF knew their team was operating from Nasser Hospital on Monday morning when a pair of Israeli strikes hit the Reuters live location, killing cameraman Hossam al-Masri and 4 other journalists, 22 people in all. In a statement to NBC News, Reuters said Israel was fully aware that Reuters and multiple other news organizations were operating from Nasser Hospital. The IDF has not responded to NBC's questions. The military claims it was taking out a camera positioned by Hamas. But there was only one camera on the roof of Nasser Hospital, the Reuters camera, according to multiple eyewitnesses. Journalist Ibrahim Kanan tells NBC News Reuters and AP have a specific location, the highest location, and the Army has the GPS coordinates. Video of the aftermath of the first strike shows the hospital was initially hit twice. Then the second strike minutes later shows 2 projectiles headed directly toward the first responders and journalists racing up the stairs. The Israeli military firing at least 4 munitions at the hospital in what is the latest incident raising international alarm over how Israel is conducting its campaign in Gaza.
Meanwhile, the UN is calling on Israel to facilitate greater humanitarian access after members of the UN Security Council, except for the United States, called the famine in Gaza a man-made crisis. Tom?
Molly Hunter for us. Molly, we thank you. In 60 seconds, a wife murdered. Police say the family's au pair was involved. Video from her interview with police and what she said about the husband, who was also her lover. Next. We're back now with a twisted mystery about a mother killed in her home. Tonight, a video statement from an au pair who worked for the family and is allegedly connected to the crime. Aaron McLaughlin picks up the story from there.
Doesn't matter. It's Juliana. Tonight, a shocking new video of a Brazilian au pair alleging her now former lover and boss, Brendan Banfield, masterminded an elaborate plot to murder his wife, Christine, while their 4-year-old daughter was downstairs.
I asked him, we're going to divorce her. He explained that he was thinking about finding a way to just get rid of her.
In her videotaped statement to prosecutors, part of her plea deal and obtained by NBC News, Juliana Perez Magles claims both she and Banfield logged onto a fetish website, posing as his wife Christine, and lured 39-year-old Joseph Ryan to their home for a rape fantasy. Perez Magles claims Ryan entered the Banfield's bedroom while Christine was asleep.
We told other people before that it was kind of part of the game. She would just get kind of freaked out and try to resist.
Prosecutors allege on the morning of February 24th, 2023, in order to make it appear as though it was an act of self-defense, both Perez Magles and Brendan Banfield entered the room. They shot Ryan twice, and Banfield fatally stabbed Christine.
She was just telling him, let me go, I'm gonna die anyways. I'm gonna bleed to death.
Months later, prosecutors say during a search of the house, investigators found a picture of Banfield and Perez Magles on a bedroom nightstand. They also found her clothes in the victim's closet, confirming their suspicions the two had been having an affair. Last year, Perez Magles pleaded guilty to manslaughter. She has yet to be sentenced. Banfield has denied all charges against him. His murder trial is expected to begin late October. Tom?
All right, Aaron, we're back in a moment with a dramatic video, an elite pilot losing control during a rehearsal for an air show. That's next. We're back now with some dramatic new video of this F-16 plummeting before it erupts into a massive ball of fire. This all happened during preparations for an air show in Poland. The pilot was killed, and he was part of an elite flying team. This is now under investigation. That's Nightly News for this Thursday. I'm Tom Llamas, reporting tonight from Los Angeles. We thank you for watching. Tonight and always, we're here for you. Good night. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.